Chapter 5 Cupcake Disaster. Most of the bees chased after the poor assistant, attracted to a moving object. The massive swarm followed him through the park and onto the street as he raced away. Unfortunately, Mayor Whitcomb swatted at a few of the insects, causing him to get stung. Conrad stood stock still and somehow managed to get away without a single bite or sting. Herb had a couple on his hands to show for his trouble. During the melee, I had shrieked and tried Herb's method of turtling my tea over my face. It hadn't been the most effective for me, probably because my shirt was too small to provide much in the way of protection. The Cupcake Queen of 2018 now had stings on her stomach, arms, neck, and a couple to the face. "Get that thing away from me," growled Whitcomb, pointing at the offending barbecue which had caused all the trouble. "We could have had natural honey as a glaze," suggested Conrad as he and Herb straightened the barbecue. "That would be good," agreed Herb as they moved along, a few of the bees lazily following them. "Well," the mayor cleared his throat as he straightened his tie and cuffs. "Well." "Are you allergic to bee stings?" I asked, carefully touching one on my aching chin. "No, I'm not. Are you?" A concerned Whitcomb looked at me. "You appear to have taken a few stings." "I have been stung before." I tugged on my shirt to cover the stings on my stomach. "I guess I will get started on bringing over the cupcakes." "That is a good idea," nodded Whitcomb. He picked up the wheel of the broken barbecue and tossed it under his table. "I will throw that out later." I wondered who was going to hang the other side of the now trailing banner, then decided not to ask. If I was not careful, Whitcomb might have me up there trying to tie it. As I ferried trays of cupcakes back and forth from my orange beetle, I passed the thickening crowds. It was early and starting to get busy. I hoped Molly would be able to find a spot to park later so that she wouldn't have to walk a long way to get to the mayor's booth. On what felt like my 20th trip, I accidentally bumped into a man. He was tiny and thin. "Oh, excuse me." "Watch where you're going," he yelled at me. He paused, eyes widening, as he pushed a shock of black hair out of his face. "How big is that pimple on your chin? Wow! Can someone get a shot of that? It should be in the Guinness Book of World Records." 3 of the people surrounding him swung their phones my way. "It's a bee sting," I replied tersely. "Sure thing," scoffed the guy. "And I lift weights for a living, Cupcake Queen." "I have no idea what you do for a living." Irritated, I replied. I ignored the fact that he was calling me by the name on my shirt. "Please, excuse me. I need to get past so I can go to the mayor's booth." "You don't know who this is?" Amazed, one of the people pulled their phone down a little to gawk at me. "World-famous eating champion Jason Kennedy," he introduced himself, laying a hand on his chest. "I'm so famous, I have recently insured my stomach, esophagus, and mouth." "You can do that?" I asked, a little dumbstruck. "Costs a lot," shrugged Jason. "However, I'm worth it." "Cool." I stretched an unfelt smile across my lips. "I still need to get past you and your friends." "Maybe you should let us pass," one of the entourage said snidely. "Please?" I stepped to the side, hoping they would just go away. I needed to finish the display and get back to the Happy Camper Resort so I could take over for Topher in the office. "Hey, Kennedy!" A teen boy came racing over. "Can I get your autograph?" "Sure," Jason smiled, whipping out a permanent marker. Within moments he had scrawled his name on the Adolescence magazine. "Wow, thanks," breathed the boy, holding the magazine like a piece of treasure. "Here, I'll sign for you too since I'm such a nice guy." Jason scribbled his signature on my plastic cupcake container. "Hey!" I snatched it away from him, too late. "You just defaced my property." "I made it more valuable," he corrected me. "You are going down, Kennedy," a loud voice shouted from across the street. "I'm gonna kill you." Jason blanched as he saw a beefy man headed his way. "Uh-oh." "One of your adoring fans?" I asked sweetly. "She lied, Brown," shouted Jason. "I have witnesses. I never took that woman home with me." "That woman is my girlfriend," shouted Brown, cracking his thick knuckles. "I got my own girlfriend. I don't need yours," pointed out Jason as he backed away. "I thought you were married," questioned the boy with the magazine. We're going through a messy divorce," shrugged Jason. "It's not my fault the ladies love a man who can put away 69 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Gross, I murmured. Yeah, I'm still 6 away from the world record, confided Jason, although scientists think that it is feasible to eat 83 in 10-minute time frame. You disgusting turd, Brown gave Jason a shove on the shoulder. Someday, you're gonna get what's coming to you. I would advise you to cool down, I interrupted. I pointed to a man in uniform not that far away. There is a police officer right there. There are more cops on duty than normal to help out with this event. Brown looked down at me. You one of his groupies? Not at all, I stated emphatically. I am just trying to do a job. If he and his posse would just let me past. Let the Zit lady go, advised Brown, glaring down at Jason. This isn't over. See you at the eating contest, grinned Jason. I'm still gonna beat you. Not this year. Brown's eyes narrowed. Mr. Policeman is right over there, I reminded them before making my way around the group. The last thing I needed was to be involved in that drama. Perhaps a half hour later, I put the finishing cupcake on the display. I was sweaty, hot, had a dozen or so bee stings, and now had sore feet, too. The entire car had been emptied of cupcakes, and the full trays were stacked neatly under Whitcomb's tables. If I was lucky, the icing would hold up in the shade. The empty trays were ready for refilling at the campground kitchen. We can't be thrown out of the competition for a few bees, insisted Conrad as they walked by the mayor's booth. The judge was very clear, sighed Herb. Our barbecue has to be in good condition. He said the one we brought was a piece of old junk. It has experience, grumbled Conrad. You just don't throw out things because they have some age. We need to buy a new grill, stated Herb, pulling out his wallet. How much do you have? Not enough, groused Conrad. The handy hardware store has jacked up the prices on all the grilling stuff since the barbecue fest started. Next week there'll be a big sale when no one needs the stuff anymore. I shook my head in disbelief as the pair headed toward the exit. Just about done? Asked Mayor Whitcomb. Are you certain you still want to man the booth? I wondered. Whitcomb had taken a couple of stings to the face and back of his hands. His face, especially, was not looking the best. Somehow, he still was not sweating in the suit he was wearing. I, however, was soaked and would likely need a shower and a change into my last tea before heading to the Happy Camper Resort office. The good news was, there was not one but 2 electric fans in the office. Whitcomb gave a smile made grotesque by the 2 stings he had taken to his upper lip. I can't let the competition get ahead of me. It's an election year. I nodded uncertainly. I was not going to question his decision to stay, not when I had a sizable check he had given me burning a hole in my pocket. Good luck. I'll send Molly with the rest of the cupcakes shortly. Perfect, replied Whitcomb. Now, I wonder where my assistant went. If his assistant was smart, he was likely at home with the air conditioning, I decided as a bead of sweat made its way down my back. After a quick deposit of the check at the bank, I headed for the pharmacy. The pharmacist gave me a cream and advised using a couple of over-the-counter medications for the pain from the bee stings. Otherwise, they would just have to heal on their own. In the car, I liberally spread the cream over the bumps I had before heading back to the campground kitchen. I brought a bunch of empty trays in, putting them on the kitchen counter. What happened? Asked Molly as she looked at my face. You look like you have a pimple of the year on your chin. You were fine this morning. Bee sting, I answered, popping lids off the trays so we could load them up with more cupcakes. There are bees? Questioned Molly in horror. I'm not going if there are bees. You have to go, I explained. Mayor Whitcomb paid extra for you to hand out the cupcakes so he wouldn't get his hands all sticky. Plus, the bees are gone now. They chased the mayor's assistant away. That sounds like a story. Molly gave me an uncertain look, helping to load up the remaining cupcakes. Ask Conrad or Herb when you see them. I think I might up their rent this month in retaliation, I shrugged. Really? Surprised Molly asked. No. I sighed, tired and in pain. Do you have any clean laundry? I need some clean clothes to wear at the office today before I can do my own laundry at the laundromat. I am literally down to my last shirt, and it's not presentable. Sure, I have got clean laundry, but I doubt it will fit you. Molly eyed my figure. I think you've gained a little weight. That shirt is tight. I have not gained weight, I stubbornly replied. This shirt shrunk in the wash. Sure, and I plan on going for a walk in the moon on my birthday as a vacation for myself, a sarcastic Molly responded. Fine, I snapped, a little annoyed at my friend. I will wear my nasty paint shirt for the rest of the day. I can loan you a shirt, huffed Molly, but I can't do the cupcake thing with the mare. I promised to be on Team Mighty Oaks, remember? I need to keep that hussy Melinda Stratton away from Chaz. I sighed. I have to be in the office today. It's not fair to Topher to ask him to do more than this morning. He isn't a member of this campground. What about Conrad? Grumbled Molly. The office is like his second home. Where is he? At the barbecue fest, like everyone else, I explained. They all have abandoned chore chart duties in the name of fun and competition. I really can't blame them. I just wish I could clone some people to work reliably for me without much pay. Those are called teenagers, advised Mariah Molly. Although you need to sort them out to find the good ones. I can't exactly hire someone this late of date. Some frustration crept into my voice. What am I going to do? I can't be in two places at once. I don't know, but neither can I, sympathized Molly. I already promised. Fine, my shoulders slumped. I will figure this out. You always do, chimed Molly as she brought a tray out to the car. I left Molly to finish bringing the cupcakes to the barbecue fest. On my way to the Happy Camper Resort office, I noticed how crowded the entire campground had become. There were people everywhere. Children were playing tag on the grass. Adults congregated around grills, making lunches. Picnic areas had people playing cards or board games while they chatted to one another. Others were walking past in swimwear, headed for the beach. Some men were in the pool, scrubbing it down. Wait a minute. I backed up, heading directly for the pool. What is going on here? Oh, a sunburnt man in his bathing suit gave me a thumbs up. We're almost finished. Pretty soon the drain will be plugged and the water will be running. Hopefully by the end of the weekend there'll be some real water in here. Who asked you to clean the pool? I wondered. Already I had visions of someone hurting themselves and my being liable. We talked to the guy at the office, mentioned another man, turning lobster red from the effects of the sun. He gave us a small discount if we finished cleaning the pool. My husband, the cheap one. An unimpressed woman leaned on the fence beside me. He would rather spend his weekend cleaning a pool than be with me and the kids. Babe, you know I love you, grinned Lobster Guy. When we get some water in here, it will be like a wading pool for all the kids. I can look after them. You can spend some time shopping in town with your girlfriends. Catch. She tossed him a bottle of water. You should be using sunscreen. He caught the water bottle. You always worry about the sunscreen. She eyed him. You're gonna regret not using the sunscreen. How big of a discount? I questioned. Considering we have no electrical, a pretty hefty one, the woman pursed her lips. This place is terrible. I'm supposed to be on vacation, not primitive camping, while my husband does manual labor. I nodded in sympathy, then quickly made my getaway. Topher had a lot to explain for, I decided, as I entered the office. Leaning back in the old office chair with a pencil in hand and squinting at Conrad's crossword puzzle, Topher gave me a big smile. How's the barbecue fest? Topher, I cleared my throat, there are people in my pool. Oh, yeah, he nodded, one hand absently stroking Cupcake, who was sleeping on his lap. Cookie was snoozing on her side on the cool floor in front of a fan. I might have given some people incentive to get a few things done around here in return for a lesser rent. You are not authorized to do that, I groaned. I've seen you do it multiple times, pointed out Topher. Plus, I had to. We had spots without electrical since you forgot to call the electrician this morning, and the pool isn't open. People are expecting a certain level of service. I moaned and took a seat in one of the two scruffy swivel office chairs. Ignoring the stuffing that was coming out of the chair, I slumped into a somewhat comfortable position. I did forget to call Evan. I suppose I ought to do that right away. Don't worry, Topher penciled a word into the newspaper crossword. I have everyone settled. All the reservations are done, and no one is expected until next weekend, so I would hold off on getting that electrical finished just yet. It's pretty quiet around here. If I were you, I would go have a nice, relaxing afternoon. Maybe do a little tanning on the beach. Since I was supposed to be handing out cupcakes soon, it was highly unlikely my afternoon was going to be very relaxing. I looked at Cupcake, who let out a snore. Why do you have my dogs? Bee dropped them off about an hour ago, and I told her I would look after them," replied Topher. "They and I are having a great time staying cool with the fans. Cupcake really likes me." I sighed. "Go," insisted Topher. "I have everything under control. The office closes in a couple of hours, and then the dogs and I'll go for a walk. When you're ready to pick 'em back up, come find me." "Are you sure about this?" I asked. "I don't want to impose upon you any more than what I already have." "You promised me baked goods, remembered?" grinned Topher. "You deliver on those, and we are all good." "Okay," I agreed. I got out of my chair and decided I had better check on Molly. I needed some clothes from her and a ride into town, so I could help out at Mayor Whitcomb's booth. As I exited the office, I could see Molly driving my car down the dirt road towards me. I waved and she slowed down. "Hey, is there a room for my laundry?" I asked as I slid into the passenger seat. "Can I borrow those clothes and grab a shower before we go? I'm not feeling so fresh." Molly looked at her watch. "There's no time. You can grab your laundry, but we need to go. I'm supposed to be at the Mighty Oaks booth right now." "I need a shower," I stated flatly. "If I'm going to be handing out food and representing our business, I should at least look presentable." "Melinda Stratton is smiling at Chaz right now," Molly reminded me. "I need to be there to make sure she doesn't get her claws into him." "Fine," I bit off. "I still want my laundry. Then I can at least do my washing after I'm done at the mayor's booth." "Okay," huffed Molly. I grabbed my laundry basket at my camper and stored it by my feet in the car while we drove to Oaks Crossing. At the park, Molly was able to find a decent place to park the Beetle since someone was just pulling out of a spot. I got out to feed the meter and noticed Molly leaving. "Hey!" I exclaimed. "Where are you going? We have to deliver the rest of the cupcakes." "I have to go," shrugged Molly as she tossed me the keys before sprinting away. "Great," I muttered. I grabbed a tray of cupcakes and made my way through the thick crowd to Mayor Whitcomb's booth. "There you are," a relieved mayor said. "You can help with handing out the cupcakes you bought." "I really should grab the rest from the car first," I mentioned. "It wouldn't be very good if their frosting were to melt." Fine, nodded Whitcomb. "Have you seen my assistant? He hasn't returned since the bee thing." "Sorry," I shook my head. "I haven't." Whitcomb sighed. "It's hard to get good help these days." "It can be," I agreed dryly. "Can I have a cupcake?" a little girl asked. "Of course," smiled Whitcomb as he handed her a cupcake. "As long as you tell your mommy and daddy to vote for Whitcomb for mayor." Her face scrunched up. "Do I have to?" "Yes, or you can give back the cupcake," Whitcomb told her. "It's called a transaction. 1 cupcake for advertising." "Mayor Whitcomb!" I gasped. Whitcomb saw my face and chuckled heartily. "Just kidding. It's a little joke. Enjoy the cupcake." The girl scrunched up her face before turning her attention to me. "What's wrong with your face? You look like you have a huge pimple on your chin." "It's a bee sting," I answered dryly. "It's gross," she commented before licking the icing on the cupcake. "You should go find your parents," I remarked a little less friendly than I could have. "My parents aren't here," she explained. "I'm here with my Aunt Lizzie." "Then you should find her." I grabbed a cupcake, shoving it at the little girl. "You can give her a cupcake." "She's right there," the little girl pointed, "with Luca. Ever since Tom dumped her, Auntie Lizzie has been trying to attract Luca's attention. At least that's what my mom says." I turned to see Lizzie Galbraith flipping her long blonde hair as she laughed at something Detective Luca Amond had said. She looked fresh, clean, and wholesome in a sundress and sandals. I felt grimy and sweaty in my Cupcake Queen of 2018 shirt and shorts, a bee sting on my chin. There was no comparison to be had between me and Lizzie Galbraith. "You have to admit, they would make a striking couple," commented an oblivious Whitcomb. "They are both tall, athletic, and good-looking." Which was how the 3 of us were looking at Armand and Lizzie, when a man came stumbling towards us, reaching out blindly before collapsing into the pyramid that was my cupcake display.